Here's a look at my latest engine. We're going to take a quick look inside. Now I've removed the screws from the body so that I could lift it off. And in here we have a small circuit board at the back. And this circuit board is what's controlling the lights. And there's two independent channels, one for the headlights and the interior light, which you can see a little bit of how the interior is done. I run the wires and then I tape over everything so that any light doesn't shine through the print. On some of the lighter colors you might get some light shining through, but in this case you do not. And then here I've got a 6-channel receiver in the back, and then 2 speed controllers and 2 motors, and those motors actually power one motor for each truck. And then we have a piece of rubber that is connecting the front axle to the rear axle. So it's not really a direct drive, it is an assisted drive, and it actually works really well. The gears are holding up very good. I started out using PET G, and that didn't last very long. Then I went to ASA. That lasted a little longer, and now I'm using a carbon fiber, and that is really holding up. And the main reason that I wanted to add more durability to the gear set was because I want to pull more cars behind a single engine, and therefore adding more cars puts more load on the gear train. Also, you'll notice the traction bands on the wheels. Now that's the same type of rubber that I use to connect the front axle to the rear axle. That is a look at the engine and how I've done the lighting. And of course my chassis, all my engines are set up with a speaker. So I have a speaker mount that's actually part of the chassis. And then the speaker is a $14 speaker off of Amazon. It's a Bluetooth speaker, and it works really well. And in fact, it can be charged. You can see the charge port on the speaker there just in front of the engine. It's in the rear, just in front of that worm gear set. I can plug in a USB cord and charge that speaker without having to get to the speaker. And of course, this opening is large enough I can get my finger in there to turn the speaker on and off. So I can access the speaker without having to get inside the chassis or the body by removing any screws. So it's a really clean install, and it works really well. I'm going to show you how I went about creating a tanker car for my 3D printed train set. And this is going to be the result, and you'll probably be surprised at just how simple it is to create. If you're new to Tinkercad, I suggest that you watch a few videos on YouTube, and you will find it very simple program to use once you understand a few basic things about Tinkercad. It's nothing more than dealing with shapes and manipulating shapes. You can make a square, you can put a hole in it, you can add a square to it. Lots of different things you can do, and the best way to learn is to use the program. It is a web-based, and everything you do is actually stored in a cloud, so to speak. But for this particular tutorial, I am just going to do a basic drawing here of a tanker. So the first step is to go ahead and change the name. Now I've already changed the name. You'll notice that you'll have some odd names, and the idea is they want you to name it whatever you're going to be drawing, give it your own name. So I've got the name. Now I'm going to start my drawing. And again, this is what we're going to end up with. So initially you'll start out with a clear slate, and some of the options are available to you and some are not. Right now, it just so happens I have options available, but if you have a clear slate, you may not have anything available. Let's start over here with a cylinder. You can have all these different shapes that you can manipulate in one way or another. We're going to be using a cylinder. Now let's take a look at this cylinder. You'll notice that it has some sides on it. There's actually 20. But if we take this slider and move it up, we not only increase the sides count, but also it makes our cylinder smoother. The other thing we want to do is we want to use a sphere as well. So we're just going to click the sphere and bring it over. Now these shapes over here can be either holes or they can be solids. Right now both of these shapes are in fact solids, but I could take this sphere and make it a hole, or I could take this solid here and make it a hole. So it doesn't matter which shape you choose, you can make it a solid or a hole simply by changing it once you've selected it. So with that said, let me go ahead and let's get this on top of this. So what I want to do is, I know the height of this is 20 from the ground up. So if we take this and we use the cone, notice there's a couple of things going on here. We have some black boxes and we have some white boxes, and then we also have a cone. If we zoom in here, you can see that we have a cone there. That cone is going to allow me to lift this up or lower it. And so if I lift it up, if I take this and put it at 20 and hit enter, now you can see that would be right on top of my cylinder here. So there you can see it would be right on the top. So therefore going 20 was too high. So what I want to do is we're going to lower this down, and we're going to lower it down to 10. And now if we lower it down to 10, notice we have it exactly where I want it height wise, but now I don't have it where I want it this way. And I could sit here and manipulate it this way, or I could simply just throw it out a little bit and then select this cylinder by holding the shift key down and selecting the cylinder. So now basically I have both of these items here selected. And you want to be careful if you use the mouse to select them, because if you were say you had this view right here and you decided you wanted to select these two, if you did that, well, guess what? Now you've got this object in the back here selected also, and you can tell that because of this big box. But if I go like this, now I only have these two selected. So with those two selected, I am going to go up here and use the align tool, and now you see I have a bunch of dots. Well, I want to align to the cylinder. So if I select the cylinder, you can see I have a dot on this side. So now I've just shifted it to the center there, and I have a dot here in the face, and I'm going to select it. And now I've shifted it to the center there. And notice all these are grayed out now, and that's because this is actually all aligned up. So with that being lined up, that is exactly what I want. So now I want to select both of these and turn them into one piece. Again, I select them and I go up here and I hit group. Now these are going to become one. So whatever I do to one of those, I'm actually doing to the other one. So with that said, let's go ahead and select it. So I'm going to select the part, which is now one. And notice I also have some arches here, and these arches are going to allow me to pivot this. Now notice whenever I pivot here, see I'm pivoting at 22.5 degrees at a time because my cursor is inside the blue circle. If I go outside the blue circle, now I can pivot 1 degree at a time. So because I want to pivot this 90 degrees, I'm going to stay inside. Notice I immediately went to 90 degree, but oh look, it's off the table. And that's okay, because if I select the part and I hit the D key, now it's going to put it back down on the table. And now I want to duplicate this, so I'm going to go up here to use the duplicate tool, duplicate and repeat. So I'm just going to select that. Now it's actually duplicated it, but it's put it right on top of where it was at. So the way we know that is if I go ahead and use, let's say we use this tool, and I'm just going to rotate. Notice I'm now rotating the one that I duplicated. So now I bring it around, and if I move inside, see it snap to 180, and that's great because that's what I want. Now I want to shift it to the left. So in this case, I'm going to hit the shift key and hit the left arrow key, and notice that it's jogging it over. But also notice it's moving very slowly. If I go down here and use my snap grid tool, when I choose 2 millimeter, now notice how it's moving it a lot more. And if I do not use the shift key, it will move it. And if I use the shift key and the arrow key, now it's moving it a lot. So if you want to move something quickly, use the shift key and the arrow key, and it will move it much further. All right, so now I have both of these parts. I have them where I want them. They're both on the table, but they're two separate parts. So now I want to put those together. So I'm going to select both, and I'm going to group them together. Now I have one part that's grouped together. Now I want to add a top. Notice I have a top over here on my tanker. So I want to put a top on this one as well. So I'm going to use the cylinder tool again, and to make sure that I get it standing straight up, because I could take that cylinder and I could move it over and put it on here. But the problem is, let me redo this. So I'm going to delete this one. So let me just put that one in the trash can. Because notice if I grab the cylinder and I move it over here, I could probably set it up here. But see, I don't know if I'll get it exactly where I need it. So I'm going to be safe, because I want it to be straight up and down. I'm going to put it on the work plane or down on the floor. And then I'm going to resize it by using the shift and the options key, because I'm on a Mac, and I'm going to grab the corner handle and I'm going to move it in. Notice that it's resizing it, all the sides, the face and the depth and the height, all resized equally. And now I want to make a lid, so I'm going to duplicate this part. So use the duplicate tool. I'm going to shift it up so we can see it. I'm going to lower it by using the center square here. Notice that's the height. And also notice that it's jumping the 2 millimeter that I set here. So I'm going to turn that off so that I can move this in very small increments. And we're going to do it about like that. Now I want to enlarge it, because the top is actually larger than the walls. So I'm going to use the shift and options tool. I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to walk it out just a little bit. Now I want to set this down on top of that. And the way you do that is you grab this tool here called the work plane, bring it over and drop it right on top of the cylinder. So now my work plane is on top of that cylinder. And again, if I select the lid and then I hit the D key, that's going to put it right on top of that cylinder. So now I want to make sure that it's aligned. So I'm going to come off of that. I'm going to go ahead and grab my work plane tool again. I'm going to put it back down on the work plane, on the work surface there, or the bed. And now I want to check the alignment of these two parts. So I select that one, hold the shift key, select the other one, go up here and hit the align tool. And yes, I can see that it's aligned there and it's aligned here. So I am good shape as far as it being aligned. Now I'm going to select both of these again, and I'm going to hit the shift key and the options key, and we're going to bring these down. So, I didn't select both of them, so let me back up. Let's select them both, shift and options, and now we're going to bring them down. And notice that now I'm changing both of them at the same time. So we need to go ahead and place this on the top. So we're going to raise this up, and we're going to drag this over, and we're going to put it right there, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right place. So again, the first step is I want to combine these two because I want to keep them together. So I'm going to group them together, and now I'm going to select my cylinder or my tank, and then I'm going to use the shift key and select the second part. And now I'm going to go over here and select the align tool. I'm going to click the tank because I want to align to the tank. I'm going to select this one because it's in the center. It's going to shift it over. I want to put it in the center on the face too, so I'm going to select this. Now I have this part in the exact center of my tank. So now I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to lower it down, and we're going to put it about like there. Now notice that it's thinner over here than I have here. So I need to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select it. I'm going to go up and hit the ungroup so that I can work with just the top part. Now I'm going to click off of it, click back on it, and readjust the height of my top. And see there, I've got it about where I want it there. Okay, and then we're going to select that one. We're going to select this one, and we're going to group them together. Now I'm going to use the cone and lower this down, and I'm thinking about right there is probably pretty close. So now you can see that I've just created this tank based on the looks of this tank, and you can see it was actually pretty simple to do. So as far as size, we can see this one is 84.70 millimeters. So if I just select this and I use the shift key, the options key, and then make this one, I don't forget what the number was now, 87 something. We'll just say 87, and let's see what it was, 8470. So again, we're gonna go here, shift option, click it, 84.70. Okay, and now we have the 2833 is what the other dimension is, and let's see, 28. Okay, so that's 28, and the other dimension was 2833. So if we wanted to be precise, we could just do this one here, 28, and call it a day. And now we're 8470 and 28, and here we are 8470 and 28. So basically we have two tanks that we created in Tinkercad, and you got to see how I did one of them. So with that, I'm going to end this video, and thank you for your time, and enjoy the hobby.